and I know who stood for me 35 years ago.
Do you think Barack Obama would have?
I think he's a marvelous figure on the political scene. I had never met him at the time I endorsed Hillary. I hadn't even shaken hands with him at that time, but I've been very impressed with him. I see some of the same things in him that Jim Hightower does, and I'm glad he's a candidate this year. I think he has shaken things up, and whether we win or lose with that particular candidacy, he's already contributed a lot to the enrichment of American politics.
I wanted to get your quick comment, Senator McGovern, on something that's playing out right now in the state you were visiting in New York, and of course it's about the governor, Governor Eliot Spitzer. I actually was in Albany yesterday as news of this, the allegations that he was caught in a federal sting calling escort service. I was in Albany, interestingly enough, to give a keynote along with Governor Spitzer on the issue of reproductive rights and politics. 1,000 people were there, and he canceled. It was yesterday morning. David Paterson, who could become the next governor of New York, was also there speaking, the lieutenant governor. But do you see a danger of a kind of explosion within the Democratic Party?
I don't think it's going to explode the Democratic Party. What we're talking about here is a sin that's as old as human beings. The two people I feel the sorriest for are the governor and his wife. This is going to be a tough thing for them. I hope they can survive it. But Governor Spitzer has had an almost flawless public record over the years. I don't know of any scandal that has touched this man. It seems like that in politics, when the Republicans get into trouble with sin, it's over money. Somebody misplaced $1 billion or 300 million or whatever it is. When the Democrats get in trouble, it's sex. And
well, you have Senator Vitter from Louisiana got in trouble with an escort. He's still senator from Louisiana, just introduced legislation that Native American women can't have abortions with federal funding. And then, of course, you have the scandal around Larry Craig, which was very different. But look, he remains senator.
One of the most honored figures in the Bible was King David, the man that wrote those wonderful Psalms. And who, you go to Israel today and you stay in the King David Hotel in Israel. He fell and got a crush on the wife of one of his lieutenants, and he sent the poor guy up to the battlefront and got him killed so he could have his wife. Eliot Spitzer hasn't done anything like that. I'm not trying to minimize this
Are you comparing Eliot Spitzer to King David?
Yeah, in a way. King David asked God to forgive him, and I believe he did. He asked the people to forgive him, and I believe they did. And he went on to become a great religious and political leader of the Israelis. So we have to take these things in some kind of perspective. Should the governor have thought more carefully about what he was doing before he got mixed up with this woman? Of course he should. So should King David have thought more carefully about his actions. But this is a sin, not a crime, as I understand it. I don't think he's accused of any crimes. I think it's obviously a sin and something that's very embarrassing and horrendous for his wife and his family. But I'm going to leave it in their judgment. I'm not going to try to pass judgment on somebody else's sin.
Jim Hightower.
Maybe the greatest sin here was that it was not just a street prostitute, but a $5,000 an hour prostitute. Yeah. You know, I mean, people can't make their house payments, and this guy's laying down $5,000. I don't know about you, George, but I'd be worried. $5,000. What if you ran over a couple of minutes? I mean, is it another $5,000?
Well, I don't know.
Speaking of sin, perhaps it's something you considered a sin decades ago, the Vietnam War. I wanted to ask